This week, Oakmont in Pennsylvania will play host to the second major of the men's season, the US Open Championship. Oakmont Country Club was the brainchild of steel manufacturer Henry C. Phones, who at the start of the 20th century sold up his business and decided to build a golf course just outside Pittsburgh. The result, a fabled layout that has hosted more combined PGA and USGA events than any other American course.
It was the only course he designed. He wanted to be a very penal test of golf. And his famous quote was, a shot poorly played should be a shot irrevocably lost.
The only thing he had to go by was what was going on in Scotland and England and Ireland. And I'm sure he visited there. I'm sure he came back with this in mind. When he bought the farm, he cut down all the trees on the property and to build his golf course. And it stood as a links-like course for 30, 40, 50 years.
After famed sports writer Herbert Warren Wind referred to the course as that ugly old brute ahead of the 1962 US Open, thousands of trees were planted all over the course. Most have since been removed, and Oakmont is back as Phones intended it, just how the USGA likes it.
From the time the US Open started in the late 1800s, it's been about a tough test of golf. It's a rigorous test, and we'd like to think that the most complete test of golf in the game, where it is testing every aspect.
Phenomenally demanding driving golf course. I mean, the bunkers, you know, his goal, if you had it in a bunker, back then you had to chip it out sideways. And the players, you know, from Sam Parks to Gene Sarazen to Bobby Jones, I mean, all of them, Tommy Armour, they're all quoted as saying, those Phones people, they were crazy.
Oakmont is firmly established as one of the ultimate tests in golf. 2016 is a record 9th time it's hosted the men's US Open. It's witnessed some memorable moments, such as Johnny Miller's final round 63 in 1973, the equal lowest score in major championship history.
What's interesting about this 2016 US Open is it's going to be essentially the same as we saw in 2007. We're playing the exact same yardage. We're playing the exact same fairway widths. We're playing the same green speeds, generally the same hole locations.
Many PGA Tour stars will know what they're in for, but knowledge is one thing, taking advantage of it is another. Despite being a relatively short 7,230-yard par 70 layout, the winning score in 2007 was 5 over par.
The number of par fours, having 4 par fours that are actually under 400 yards. You certainly don't think of that when you think of US Opens, but it isn't about the yardage necessarily as it's about the skill.
I think what people love about that is not only risk reward, but when you give the players options, that doesn't always make it easier.
And that assessment doesn't only apply to the par 4s. The 12th hole is one of 2 600-yard-plus par 5s on the scorecard. And just like every other hole at Oakmont, it really makes the players work for their score.
I think absolutely the 12th hole here at Oakmont is the most strategic of all the par 5s we play. There's 2 different teeing grounds, one at 667 yards and one at 632 yards. The entire hole plays downhill, but there's a big left-right cant to it. So on the tee, right off the bat, you get a choice. Even though this can be hit in 2, particularly from the up tee, the layup, if you're going to play it as a 3-shotter, is incredibly strategic because you've got these ditches on both sides of the fairway. So just laying up is hard, and then you get to the green and your work's just begun because it's this green that falls from the front left to the back right.
And as you'd expect, the finishing holes are anything but easy. Phones was known to follow players around who scored low at Oakmont to see what they were doing well and then make the necessary adjustments to his course. He certainly did his homework for the last 3 holes.
It's always about the stretch run. And 16's a really hard par 3. 17's a drivable 4, but as you saw in 07, Cabrera and Furyk coming down the stretch both made bogey there. Drivable, but very, very difficult.
It's just got this wonderful green that sits at an angle with deep bunkers on all sides, and usually that's where championships get decided here, is on the 17th hole.
And 18 is just man up. You got to man up. You got to hit it in that fairway, knock it on the green, and 2-putt. That's not an easy task.
18 is one of the great finishing holes in all of golf anywhere, whether it's championship golf or just golf period. But it's hard. It's hard. I mean, it's the last go around. It played the toughest hole here at Oakmont.
So whoever can negotiate a brutally difficult course that's set up to the exacting standards of the USGA will be crowned 2016 US Open champion. Not surprisingly, the Oakmont Honor Roll is a veritable who's who of golfing legends.
Sarazen won the first major, the PGA championship in 22. Bobby Jones won the amateur in that decade, and Tommy Armour won the Open. So, I mean, we were off to a pretty good start. So we went on with Hogan and Nicklaus and Miller, and it was his goal, Phones' goal, to have major championships and for it to be the hardest course in the world. I think he did pretty well.